Right, let's see if I can get this right. It's third time lucky. I screwed up the video call with Dennis there. But I'm gonna record it for everyone else. Just go over what we went through. Right, where to start? I've got this little tool that's underneath my GitHub. If you go to 3-trade, it's this. And it's just basically a couple of order books up and all the trades that actually happen against the ledger. Offer create transactions. An offer doesn't always cross another offer. However, when they do, you need to derive that. It's not something that just the ledger tells you, hey, an offer happened. You have to actually go and look at every offer create transaction and figure out whether part of that offer crossed another offer or fully crossed another offer or so forth, right? And that's something that you have to derive from the transaction that actually occurred on the ledger. So if we go and look at one of those transactions, this is just the offer create. You see it's got an account, take a gets and take a pays. That's how much their the offer is worth, or the value of it. And then at the bottom there is this meta. Depending on how you're listening to the ledger, whether you're listening to ledger close or actually looking up a ledger, so asking the XRPL for a specific ledger, this can either be meta or metadata, right? But it's the same thing. This is just kind of tech debt. And inside that, we've got affected nodes, which is an array again. Metadata, affected nodes, the other bit's not too much of interest right now. And then we've got these different pieces here. It's modifying different nodes, updating objects within the database of the ledger. And here it's actually removing some objects, right, on those. And that's when and how offers are consumed. There are different pieces in here. So if we look, there's like ripple state, account root, offer, directory nodes, and so forth. We only going to be looking at certain pieces of this. So like ripple state is not something that is specifically relevant for figuring out when a offer was crossed or not. Right, let's go look at some code. So just make that bigger. I got a little app over here. Basically, it creates a client to the ledger. And then over here, it's calling ledger close, which is basically just listening on ledger close events and then calling our callback over here, right? Going back to our callback function. So it's waiting for those ledger close events, looking at the pieces that come out, the different transactions that are in each ledger, and then we're iterating through that, right? So we're going over every single transaction within that ledger. We're looking for offer create transactions at the moment. I'll do cover the pattern at the end because it's very similar. And then we have to take that offer create transaction. Where is it? Up here. We have to take that and walk this object. So we're going to do that now. Let's go to our derive. We need some information, like we want to know the hash of the transaction that occurred. We want to know the taker. I think further on, we want to look at the maker, the sequence number that occurred, and the different values. So we pull out those at the top over here. I've just got a list of exchanges because they can be, your offer create can cross many different offers in the book, right? And we want to pull out or collect all of those that are actually crossed. That's what that array is doing. Here I'm just looping over those affected nodes. And I'm only looking for a modified node or a deleted node. Those are the only times that value is moved or transferred within the offer crate, right? So if it's not an offer, just continue. If it hasn't got previous fields for taker pays and taker gets, again, we're not interested in that bit of data, so just continue on to the next one, the next node. We then, in the final fields, pull out the account, the sequence number, and now we get to the parts of where the value is, right? Take a pays and take a gets as an amount on the XRPL. That can be either an object or a string. So what I'm doing here is formatting that all into a standard object format that's easy for me. And I convert it from drops into, what do you call the other one? Standard XRP that most people understand, right? So that's what dividing it by a million or multiplying by a million. Take a pays, take a get. So you got your previous value and your final value, right? We have to look at the previous state of take a pays, that value in these list of nodes that are returned, and then we look at the final states and we minus those from each other to get the final value that was actually transferred within that piece of the trade, right? We did the same for take a got, and then we build out a standard object over here, which just got all the pieces that we've pulled out, right? So we're taking the base, the quote, the price, that thing crossed that, how much was actually transferred. And then we build that into our list, and then right at the end, we return our list back out, right? So that's our list over there. Come back out, we just make sure that there's something in there. If there is, we're gonna spit it out and print it out, basically. And here it is running. We can see some transactions coming through. You can see the hash, the quote, that was for XRP. There was a token called Brad. There's no issuer for XRP, so that's why that's undefined. Base issuer, that is the issuer of that token. Taker, your maker, those are the two accounts that traded value. That is the volume that was transferred, the amount, and the price, as well as the timestamp. Oh, that's also something. The ledger has its own timestamp, right? It's plus that many seconds from a standard date format. So I'm just converting that back across into the dates that we as humans read. And then whether it was a parsing transaction or not. Here's the parsing one. It uses the exact same function because the exact same thing happens on a parsing transaction. And the only thing that we're looking for over here is this happens on a payment transaction type, but we're just looking at this parse object is present within this account over here. There would be another field, parse, with the parse defined, and it's going to do exactly the same thing. So we can reuse our function over there to pull out when a parsing transaction crosses some of the liquidity on the ledger, right? On the DEX or the AMM. It's going to do exactly the same things as our offer created over there, right? So we pull that out and print it out. What else was there? Oh, there was, yeah, we covered that, right? Where it could be meta or metadata, depending. That's just take that again, this account versus transaction of account. It depends where we're listening and looking on the ledger. If you're listening to live closes versus going and fetching a ledger, the position of these things within the object is a little bit different sometimes, and here we're accounting for that. That's the amount I was saying divided by a million. Just getting in the standard format. Here I'm converting currency code. So instead of having like a fancy hash over here for the base amount, say it was another token like Brad, that actually comes across as hexadecimal, and we're just converting it out into Brad, right? That's what that little bit over there does. And yeah, not the easiest thing in the world to understand, but that's how we get it, some of that data within the metadata of these different transactions to actually pull out what happened. The same kind of thing if we go to XRPL and account sets. All these different transactions over here, right? All these different transaction types are going to have exactly the same kind of thing happening on them, right? And we're going to have to go through that metadata and pull out the pieces that we need. So if we go to the live ledger, there's all offers. There's a payment. If we look at the payment, there was no pathing on this payment because that pathing thing was not there, remember? But again, you've got your metadata, the affected nodes, which nodes it modified. So this is the payment, the from and to account, basically. I'm not sure which is from and which is to, but you have to work that out. But that's what you'd have to do, right? This metadata is the rich information that you need to get at and parse and pull out the different aspects. The same goes for anything happening on the AMM, that cross-train bridge when that comes around, and any transaction type, basically, right? Yeah, and leave it at that. Third time. Enjoy. Cheers.